I think when the storm happened, I was connected to my neighbor's internet, and so my computer sometimes tries that one. And anyway, hello, everyone. All righty. When the storm happened, we are on YouTube.
Hello, YouTube.
And let me share our link. How's your day?
Yeah, just another day in the world of journalism, trying to get people to talk with me. But yeah, overall pretty good. I'll apologize in advance to you and anyone who joins. I am in the process of moving, so I'm currently sleeping in my living room of my new house. So if my dog or roommates pop in, I'll just let them know.
Hey, that is a-okay. Okay, let's see. I've just been like texting out the class link to just random youth every time we do this.
Yeah, I got kind of a short one today. I'm hoping maybe we can, it'll spark conversation or something, but.
All right. Who else? Oh, hey, Renika. Okay, so it's her, Donnice, and CJ with her.
Cool.
Thanks for coming. Okay, Ashton, I know we got start. Okay, here comes some. I know we got started kind of late. So if you want to go ahead and start, we will.
Sure, yeah, let me share my screen. Wait, no, it's not. Okay, can you see my screen?
Yes, we can.
It's over here. It's been 2 weeks and I forgot how to use this now. Okay, awesome. Well, thank y'all for joining us today. So like I mentioned earlier, but y'all might have not been on, I have kind of a short one today. So as always, feel free to jump in with any comments or questions, or you need me to clarify something. I would really love to either do a very similar class or like expand on this topic when we're able to possibly meet in person. Because I think, when you're talking about your five senses, and yes, I know it says 6 in the title, and I'll get to that. It's a lot easier to be outside in nature and all kind of be experiencing the same thing. And it's great to write and see how different people experience like a similar setting differently or similarly. But anyway, so today I wanted to talk about writing with all 6 senses. And I'm not going to get X-Files on anyone with the 6th sense. But yeah, basically, exploring that power of noticing. And, as we've talked about in the other 2 classes, some of the stuff with writing, whether you write just to jot things down, like a diary, or you write, because you want to submit your writing professionally, or you do it in a therapeutic way. There's always that sense of therapeutic aspect. And for me, writing with your five senses, helps me, especially when I'm feeling anxious and, my mind's going a million miles an hour with like all these future possibilities or stressing about the past or whatever. When we'll get to exercises later on, but when you write with your senses, it really can ground you in the moment. And so that's kind of one of the reasons I wanted to hit on this today. With using your senses, we're talking about writing with sensory words. And especially if you're writing for an audience, they're great because they're powerful and memorable. And I'm sure if anyone who's listening that has read a decent amount, I was just talking to a friend today how I can get through a really great fiction book that's like twice as long, way faster than I can get through some like dry nonfiction. And I think part of that is because a lot of good fiction writing, on top of the storytelling and character development, has like good sensory writing. It puts you there where you can taste and feel, and imagine yourself hearing the same things as the characters. So, and that's sort of what, this says as far as like, there's literally like science behind it. If you're just reading text, like, it's just your brain processing words. But when you're reading sensory words, your brain lights up. You can taste the sweetness of the cake or see the dazzling display of colors if someone's like describing fireworks with the pops of like blue and red and green, or you can feel that coarse, gritty texture. And so that's a really great reason to use them as well, especially if you're writing for an audience. So when we're talking about sensory words, I mean, y'all all know this, but you got sight, touch, hearing, taste, and as it says there, motion is obviously sensory too, which I feel like it kind of motion, sort of tag teams. I mean, it's the same thing as touch essentially when you're talking about something like feeling bumpy or vibrating, or that like rush of wind when you're maybe sticking your hand out of the door of a moving car. But anyways, so just thinking of those words to describe it, and again, bringing yourself really in the moment, talking about sight, like something isn't just big, is it just big or is it gigantic? With touch, okay, it's like not a pleasant feeling. Is that because it's gritty or because it's slimy? Like getting into those details can also be great, again, if you're writing for other people, but also to get yourself further in the moment as well. And then, so I was looking for examples, and I'm going to go ahead and apologize. So if we redo this, I'll have some more examples of each of the senses. But one thing that came to mind is Charles Dickens. He does a really good job of sensory writing, and I know Tolkien does too. And I was trying to find a good example, but again, I mean, his writing's like chock full of stuff, so it was hard to pick. But anyway, so this is from Great Expectations, and I'll go ahead and read it, even though it's right there. But so there was a bookcase in the room. I saw from the back of the books that they were about evidence, criminal law, criminal biography, trials, acts of parliament, and such things. The furniture was all very solid and good, like his watch chain. It had an official look, however, and there was nothing merely ornamental to be seen. In a corner was a little table of papers and a shaded lamp. So he seemed to bring the office home with him in that respect too, and to wheel it out of an evening and fall to walk. So this is specifically, like I said, a sight example. But you can see even, obviously Dickens is doing this on purpose, but when you get into the details of things, you describe so much more than just saying, this guy, like you could just say this guy is, a businessman and, doesn't care about frivolous things or whatever. But like when you're describing his home, you get that much more vividly and you can see it. And so you'll notice again, the title said Six Senses. And I put that in there because I think inner feeling counts as a sense. And I think, especially if you're writing for personally, or, if you're writing something from your personal perspective, or, heck, even if you're writing nonfiction or fiction and you're writing about characters, it's good to reflect in that inner feeling of the moment. And to me, I always like to think of like, is like my inner feelings vibing with like the outer world, or are they kind of in contrast? And some days it can be a sunny day and I can feel the warmth of the sun, but maybe I'm having a gloomy time, and kind of contrasting that. But I actually picked a moment, and forgive me, this is like literally just something I jotted down to have as an example, so there may be spelling errors, but anyway, but I thought a really good contrasting moment I had recently was actually I was walking through the crazy winter storm we had. Well, when it wasn't storming, but with all the crazy snow downtown. And it was about like a 4 or 5 mile walk from where I lived. But, I had a very contrasting feeling, but honestly, it was positive. So I'll just go ahead and read it. But the winter air whistled across my half-visible face as I trudged through the snow. Crunch, one leg buried calf deep. Crunch, then the other. As I moved with the crisp, cold wind through a near-empty downtown, I felt anything but cold or empty. I felt the heat of my being radiating from within. I was on an adventure along roads I'd driven and walked hundreds of times before, but this fresh white coat painted it all anew. So, that's an example of what I was talking about, again, being in the moment, but also while looking outward, reflecting, if it, parallels what you're feeling inside, or if there is that contrast. And, in this case, it was freaking cold outside, but I was like excited to feel like, I kind of had that kid spirit of adventure, trudging through the snow on roads that are normally, really busy with traffic downtown Little Rock. So, yeah, let's see, what did I have next? And then another good example, and I won't read all of this because I feel like I've read y'all enough at this point, but when I was younger, I really loved Henry Thoreau, mainly just for his nature writing. But he was also really great on metaphors. This whole little bit of poem is all about smoke, but he's describing it as a bird, an upward flight, a messenger of dawn, and so when you're describing something, if you can't find the exact right word, don't hesitate to use like a simile or a metaphor, even if it's outside of, that sense. Like, does that smell, remind you of like a warm summer day when like that heat is like hitting your face, don't be afraid to like mix those senses up, especially, with smell, and it's so connected to memory. And that's a good thing to play with as well. So here's some exercises. I don't know if y'all would want to do, well, we have plenty of time, but if y'all would want to do one, but here's some also you can just do on your own if you want to do more on sensory writing. something that I thought that I actually should do, because, I struggle with some of the senses, would be, just to pick one place and one sense and just take in that one sense. Obviously sight would be like the easiest one to go off of if you're unsure which one to pick. But another fun one would be to walk and write. I think it's supposed to rain a little bit this weekend, but we've had pretty good weather so far this week. So if you get a chance just to, walk outside at a park or something and just have a pen and paper and jot down, what you're seeing, what you're hearing, the birds chirping. The birds have been super loud in my yard lately. My dog Rosie has been chasing them. She almost got one this morning. But, and just describe all that, that you're feeling and seeing. And, another one would be to, just close your eyes and pick something up. And obviously you wouldn't be able to write while you're doing it, but, use all your other senses besides sight. Because again, sight is usually the easiest one for us to write about, and then just try to remember everything you feel. And then once you open your eyes, try to jot down what you remember thinking about the object. And my personal favorite would be to pick your favorite food and eat it and then describe, try to figure out exactly why it's your favorite. Also just toss out there, a favorite memory you have and just try to describe it using your senses. When I think about eating, I think about, my grandma's snickerdoodles, which I always used to roll 4 and eat the 5th one, but just, anytime I smell snickerdoodles, cookies baking, it just always reminds me of her farm, and you can just kind of like go from there and use those senses. But yeah, so those are the exercises. If y'all would be up for doing one now, we could just take, I don't know, we did 1 minute last time and that seemed pretty short. We could just do 2 minutes of, picking one object in the room and trying to describe it, if y'all wanted to do that.
Regina, Renika, anyone? CJ, Donnie's, you want to do it? 2 minutes. Just
Yeah.
pick something up in the room and write about it.
Yeah, I would encourage y'all to get my timer out. Do something that you can like pick up and hold, so you can use something besides just what you're seeing to describe it. I'm gonna.
Well, I'm being honest, man. I'm outside, so.
Oh yeah.
But I can see something. Cars.
Yeah,
Sure.
well, then
I
maybe
don't know how to turn the thing around, but cars.
maybe you can do the walk and ride. Just take it in, and then when you get home later, and can write it down, do it. But
Yep, I can do it.
okay, awesome. Yeah, so if you're somewhere where you're sitting down and can write, if you're not, if you're on the go, maybe just kind of take the 2 minutes and just pick something around you to observe, and just try to be in the moment. So I'm gonna start the timer.